these things for me would characterise the European Super League. Firstly, the biggest sides in Europe being almost guaranteed to stay in the competition. Secondly, the league to last about half the year. So in this sense, from August to late January. So pretty much 6 months of the season. I would also expect in a European Super League, I would expect the big sides to consistently face the biggest sides. And that has happened in this league format of the Champions League. I would also expect big prize money for the winner of a European Super League. Now, it's currently 2 million, I believe, if you top the Champions League or European Super League group. But I imagine that's going to go up in future years. I can envisage a day, Ollie, where it's like 10 million to actually top the Champions League format. So they kind of by the back door, but not even really by the back door, created this European Super League. And finally, I would say that there would be an awful lot of games with almost no chance of relegation for the biggest side. So those are the things that I would think would make up a European Super League. And they, coincidentally, are pretty much box ticked by what we've seen in the Champions League format this season. I just want to say, I don't actually mind it. Like, I was never one of the ones protesting on the street against the moral vacuum of the European Super League. I actually thought, well, it's kind of interesting. Like, it's something different. Like, UEFA don't have they're a private company. They don't have a God-given right to monopolize all these big European clubs. And if another company came along and created a European Super League, like, that's in many ways, it's healthy competition, you know. It's I was just about to give the worst analogy ever, but like Eurostar have dominated that London to Paris route forever, and like Branson finally is coming in and is going to cause some competition. And people think, oh, London to Paris, Eurostar, yeah, it has to be Eurostar, right? But why does it? It's a private company. So I actually don't think the European Super League was a bad concept. And we've ended up there anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter. But I just think it's a little bit disingenuous how it's happened. But we're in the final round of fixtures in this league format. I've actually enjoyed it. I think it's quite interesting. I think the group stages always get a bit of criticism because they're maybe not that exciting and all the big clubs are going to qualify anyway. So it's added something different. It's new. I would say finally two things. I mean, we played, you end up playing 144 group stage matches to relegate 12 sides. And the 12 sides that will be relegated are the likes of, Ollie, young boys. Nothing against them. They've taken their chance. They're in the Champions League. Or Slovan Bratislava. They got 0 points. They got goal differences of -20 and -18. I mean, they've lost 7 from 7. I'm not quite sure what they could have gained from this experience. You know, Sturm Graz, Girona, Leipzig, Sparta Prague. I mean, these sides have been basically battered by everyone. So we played an awful lot of football matches to relegate a group of teams that were never going to win the Champions League. But the only thing you can say is that the Manchester City situation, I guess, keeps match day 8 alive because City probably have to win, don't they, against Club Brugge or Club Brugge to stay in the competition. So what do you think? I mean, yeah, what do you think about that Windsor Ramble?
Well, the soapbox, I can finally pull it out from underneath your feet there, man. That was a very good diatribe into the thoughts on the European Super League that is the Champions League. I think looking at it the other way as well, not necessarily the clubs that we've lost, but the clubs going through. And let's say, for instance, that Club Brugge don't get past Manchester City, which is really one of the only interesting moments of jeopardy going into this. Which teams would you look at and say, oh, that's a Cinderella story for them? Because I think aside from Brest, who literally, I think for me, have had their whole participation in this tournament ruined by the highlight clips of pundits making stupid jokes about the club
100%.
name.
It's not remotely funny.
Yeah. And it disappointed me slightly when they've lent into it a bit and sent some shirts to pundits that have been making these jokes and all that kind of stuff. But aside from them being there, Celtic were always one of those, could finish second if they get the right group, but probably a third place side in going into the Europa League. But Celtic are up there. The rest of the sides, apart from Brest, are sides that I would expect to have a good chance of going through a UEFA Champions League group stage as it was anyway. So I don't actually think that this has done much in terms of boiling down to an exciting match day 8, nor has it given clubs a chance to kind of reshuffle the order of European football slightly. All it's done is it's given us more match weeks with more games between the big sides early on in this competition. But more isn't better, as we keep saying. The stakes are what makes a game. So you can have Milan playing PSG 6 times in a row. But if the 7th time actually there's something relying on it, that's more interesting than all of those 6 times previously put together. And that's what this feels like to me. It just feels like a lot of games that don't really mean that much. I mean, the likelihood is you're going to need 10 points from 8 games, so you can draw 7 and win 1.
Absolutely nothing, that. 10 points from 8 games is absolutely nothing. It's relegation form in the Premier League almost. Like, it's, if you had 10 points in your first 8 Premier League games, you'd be right down there. So, yeah, I think... To add to your point there, Ollie, I mean, Liverpool hosted Real Madrid at Anfield, something that should be, like one of the apex matches of Champions League football, and Real Madrid lost, but it doesn't really matter because they're still going to be in the competition in February. Okay, fine, they've got to go through the playoff round, but it's not going to scare Real Madrid, is it? So It kind of doesn't matter. I also think that topping the group, which Arne Slot, the Liverpool boss, seems to be obsessed with because he's played essentially his best side the whole competition pretty much. I don't really see what massive benefit you get from that, whereas a Manchester City could get through with 11 points, having been terrible in the Champions League group stage, and still go on and win it. I mean, that's not impossible to me. Real Madrid been very patchy, can still go on and win it. So I'm not sure really. I mentioned the prize money. I think it's £2 million for the side that tops the group, but. Yeah, I'm not sure there's a massive benefit. I think the only criteria is, are you still in the Champions League by February? When it kicks off in August, what do we want from this? We want to still be in the Champions League by February. If we have to play a playoff round, we have to play a playoff round. Because you've got a very good chance that Liverpool will top the group and end up playing a Real Madrid, a Man City, something like that. So then you'd think, right, okay, what exactly was the point in that? Pretty confusing. But listen, I don't blame UEFA for trying something new. They obviously sensed that because of the Super League idea, they sensed that there was something there. It wasn't like a terrible idea that was pulled out of nowhere. It had been bubbling, that there are reasons why some kind of Super League alternative should take place. And actually, have they just been really clever, UEFA? Like, they've been like, right, we've got the Champions League. We know the knockout stages are great and work and everyone watches and they're fantastic. But we need to do something about these 6 months. And, hey, why aren't we playing any games in January? That's a disgrace. Let's fill up those midweeks ASAP. And they just thought, okay, we could just change it around, create this lovely little league format. And all they need to do now really is give the winner 10 million euros. And then you will get clubs desperately trying to win that, because 10 million quid, even to the biggest clubs in the world, is not nothing. So I think you could do something like that, and you kind of create your European Super League, and then you also have whoever wins the Champions League. I think that's where we're going.
The only worry is have you shown all these clubs that a European Super League can garner so much interest? Because I know there are a lot of people that have been sceptical about this league phase and have really enjoyed it actually, and enjoyed seeing, Villa against Dortmund, isn't that fantastic, etc. Might it turn into we kind of want to see a lot more of that, and suddenly Villa Tottenham on a Tuesday night in the Premier League is good, but it's not necessarily filling my boots, so to speak, when we could be on a trip down to the south coast of France and down to the Principality of Monaco to go and see Villa on the road against Monaco in a few weeks' time. And it just opens the door slightly that this is a good idea, and bigger and better things can come from this idea, as opposed to this is a good idea, shall we just leave it here? Which I don't think any executive has ever said in modern day sport at this point. This was good. Have we got enough of it?
And rightfully so, because that's not their job, right? No CEOs said, right, we're making a good amount of money here, folks. How about we just try and distribute the cash a little more evenly the next few years, just maintain the status quo, just keep it calm. We could screw over these people or add this or that, or push the workload on our employees. No, let's just keep it as is. Doesn't happen.
We don't need another 25 million in TV rights. Said no one ever at UEFA or FIFA or anywhere else. And as you say, like, that's kind of the way it should be. That's the beast that's been created. But yeah, I mean, good on Brest, and I hope Brugge do it this week. I really do. I think to keep me interested and to make me think that there's a point in this league phase, I hope they will. Yeah, it's unlikely. And City will probably, as you say, end up winning the Champions League.
I think Pep Guardiola might have a good second half to the season, and I think that, good result against Chelsea in the Premier League. I think if they beat Brugge, then I think they travel to the Emirates next, and it could be a good 10 days for Pep Guardiola, but we'll see.